out that I was severely. Yes, honey. Okay, you got that? Good. Thank you, honey. I love you. All right. They discovered that I was dyslexic, and I had an extremely difficult time in class, in school, doing a lot of the things that most kids could do easily. Be able to spell, be able to do their multiplication tables. For me, the place that I found that I could really connect and excel was romping around in nature and finding cool things. That's where I felt at home. And so that was my, when I'd feel frustrated at school, I would relieve my pressure by going exploring in the forest behind my house. I grew up in San Francisco, right next to Sutro Forest. And on family trips all around the San Francisco Bay Area. One up? Okay. Yeah. All right. So my way of recording what I observed was to start to make drawings and pictures of everything that I encountered. And I discovered that as I would do those pictures, it brought me into a quiet, still, meditative place. And I felt more connected with the things that I was exploring, more in love with the world around me. And I wanted to share that with other people. So as my development progressed, you want to run? Okay, ready? Go get him. Go get him. Go get him. All right. So as my work progressed, I found that I really enjoyed environmental education and finding ways of connecting people with nature. What I really wanted to do was to help people get that sense that I had of falling in love with nature. And so in order to do that, I guess I started the way that most people do. You've got like these sort of outdoor education games that we're taught to too loud. But this way people at the back can hear. Okay? I started off with a lot of the classic environmental education games, and we would have fun, but it didn't really translate into people falling in love with the world. But what I began to discover is that for me, the way that I connected with the wild was through drawing, sketching, and observing deeply. That process is what brought me deeper in. And I began to explore that technique with the students and the adults that I was working with. If I want to get people to fall in love with nature, in order to do that, one of the first things I need to do is to come up with kind of a working definition of what love is. And it's often sort of described as sort of this intangible feeling. But I've come up with a very practical, for us involved in sort of outdoor things, a very practical definition of love. So try this on for a moment. Consider love as sustained, compassionate attention. Sustained, compassionate attention. You think about that between yourself and a child, between yourself and your companion, your partner, between yourself and wildness. The more that you can sustain and keep being present with focused attention, that is the act of love. And it changes who you are. By paying that kind of attention, you are fundamentally changed by that activity. The person who you're interacting with feels that. And I think that nature around us feels the same thing. While I was working on my field guide to the Sierra Nevada mountains, every time I couldn't just go out and I did all those drawings of the plants. Those are done from life in the field. And I couldn't walk out there into the meadow, pick a plant, bring it into the shade, and draw a picture of it. Because by the time I got done drawing a picture of it, that focus had brought me into a state of love with that plant. And then I would leave, and there's this wilted dead thing on the ground. And so I would draw them each from life, sitting there on the ground in front of me. And then when I would get up, by the time I was done with this process, it seemed like the most natural thing to get up, bunch up sort of stand the grasses up in the spot where I was sitting, and turn around and thank the plant that I was drawing. I felt as if there was a relationship between me and that plant. It was no longer it, but it had become a thou. I'm now trying to apply this idea of environmental education to connecting adults and children in the San Francisco Bay Area with wildness. The way that I'm doing that is I've begun a program where every month I teach 5 free nature drawing technique workshops and lead a community of field sketchers out on a free nature drawing, family-friendly, intergenerational, sometimes wheelchair-accessible field trip to different locations around the Bay Area where we use drawing and sketching to get us to slow down, observe more deeply, to focus on what's happening in front of us, and to fall in love with the world. And the results have been more powerful than anything that I've ever done before in environmental education. It's not just because of the potluck lunches. I find that through these experiences, the people are connecting with the wildness, they're connecting with each other, they're building friendships. I know at least of one relationship that has started already from the group. And it's starting to spread. There's now a kind of satellite group in Utah, and just recently a satellite group started in Colorado. People using the same approach, the same formula, to helping people fall in love with wildness. And it's really, really exciting. I'm also responsible for that crying baby. So if any of you are sitting here thinking, well, that sounds kind of cool, but I can't draw a straight line, you don't need to. It takes about 1 year to kind of learn these skills, and it's going to go on all the way through next year as well, and probably into the future and beyond. So I want to invite all of you and your family and friends to come out and join us and look at this as an approach to falling in love with the world. And the reason that I'm suggesting that to you is because we need to be in this business of stewardship and working to protect these wild spaces for the long term. And sometimes when you're up against powerful, well-funded development forces, it can start to affect your heart. And you can feel overwhelmed. One of the things that is there to prop you back up is regular, deep, profound experiences in nature. And I want to offer that as a salve to all of you involved in this conservation work to help you stick with it for the long term. The more that you are refreshed from the spring of connecting with wildness, the more we're going to be able to do the difficult work together. Another thing that is a powerful effect of this is that the relationships between people in the group are growing stronger. Similarly, the more that the relationships within this group, the people who are sitting right here, the stronger that becomes, the more powerful together we are to affect change. And sitting next to your, take a look around, and there's going to be somebody who you don't know who is sitting near you, right? This person is here for an equally profound and beautiful reason than you came here for. So what I'd like you to do is just for a moment, I'm going to take part of my little time here. I would like people to turn around right now, and we're going to take 1 minute. I'd like you to introduce yourself to a stranger. Tell them why you came, what you love, and I want you to remember that person's name, right? So make sure while you're talking to them,